would say read books about it. Be open-minded. Talk about it with your friends, women and men, to hear their side. Explain yourself also to your partner if you have one, and tell him what you feel. Communication is really important, and helps to you also to understand what's going on with yourself, and helps the others to understand, and be also open to the change. Things change, but that's life. We always changing. Childhood is one thing, and then the teens are another, and then you are young adult, and then middle age, always changing, maybe by decades. Menopause is another change. And it's good to be open-minded about it and also accept.
Great, beautiful.
Há quem veja o invisível, há quem faça o impossível. Depois de tudo, alguma coisa vem dizer que tudo bem.
Welcome to the Menopause Retro Journeys. So this is a series where I get together with women from all walks of life, and we get to revisit their menopause years and go back to their story, their ups and downs, their experience. And what I'm really interested is to go and find maybe some gems and those little perhaps new ways of being that emerge after menopause, that is part of that kind of trace new ways in the second half of our lives. And usually it's good to go and do this as a retro journey, as a retrospection, because then we can connect the dots and maybe see things we are out of the big period of our lives. So I'm your host. My name is Joanna Mazzulli. I'm the creator of the Menopause Codex, and today my dear guest is Henriqueta Ataide e Almeida. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Henriqueta sent to me. So who am I? Just a woman that finds life exciting, full of surprises, beautiful, a miracle, but also unexpected, terribly challenging, painful, difficult. I was first a translator after a full mother job that became later a teacher working in French schools with kids first, and later mainly working with adults, always teaching languages. By the way, Henriqueta is my Portuguese teacher, but I have not done enough lessons for my Portuguese. So I carry on. So diversity, variety, new things, places, people, life philosophies always interested me. I got married 2 times. I have 2 daughters. And since I have a memory of myself, I always consider myself a feminist. Living in a country like Portugal, this was very, very important. And it was a big fight with the world that surrounded me when I was a young woman. I am from Porto, a woman from the north in the sea. All my life lived next to the sea. It is important to me, the sea, and it's not any sea, it's the Atlantic. So living in Lisbon since 15 years by choice, just to change after 40 years living in Porto. And I really appreciate living here. Now I'm also a ceramist. So, Henriqueta, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm really very, very happy to have this chat and conversation about that you accepted my invitation to go back.
It's an honor. It is an honor to be here and to share whatever I have to say.
Yeah. Let's dive in. My first question is just freestyle. How when you go back, roughly around what age menopause came? How was it? How was the whole experience? Like the things that come up when you
It appeared around when I was 50 years old and some years ago, and it came little by little. It was a process, and I didn't particularly like it because it was changing what I knew. And we not always like changes, especially when the changes are, well, some of them were not so good. I felt that they were not so good. That's what many times we think in the beginning, changes are not good because we are well as we are, and that we didn't choose to change. I didn't choose to change. This came from my body, and without my conscious choice. Then it feels like always a bit overwhelming, maybe. That this is not you deciding, but your body deciding. Maybe with another brain in control, but not your normal mental brain. And this was a challenge for me, but it came slowly by slowly.
So you said that there were some, do you want to tell me about some of those changes? Like what was that really you remarked that was, other than, okay, like maybe the periods, but even that would be interesting to go into it and
just, well, I don't know, some of the changes, because it came slowly by slowly, some of the changes also are combined with age. And I think after 50, your body also changes, and we start having many problems that we didn't have, physical ones. And this was combined at the same time with the arrival of menopause. Then certain things I don't really know if it's something to do with menopause or just something to do with age. Others I can really see that had to do with menopause, and my humor started to kind of change a lot. I could be very patient, but very impatient suddenly. And the moods were very present, and the change of moods. And I think this came with menopause, really. And some tiredness maybe that was not used to. And also in the sexual side part, that I felt a big change, was what was very challenging and a big surprise for me.
There was a drop in your
yes, there was a drop. I always enjoy very much sex, and then suddenly, well, it didn't interest me so much, just time to time, but rarely. And this was a big surprise for me, because it never happened to me before. And yeah, I was very surprised with that. And I didn't like so much. I like it the way it was before. And yeah.
So you were you said you married twice. You were with your second.
I'm with my second husband.
Yeah. So that was, so how was it what kind of help, support, what did you talk about this phase? Were you open about it in your couple, in your environment, or in general, even with close friends? How was it in terms of relationships, and even in your close relationship? How did you navigate this with your husband? This drop, how did that impact the couple, right? Because
Yes, I talked a lot. I'm Portuguese. We talk. Well, already women talk, and I'm Portuguese. We talk. We share this with friends, especially women. But I also talked with a group of friends where men were there, and also talking about their experience with their wives that were in menopause. And it was interesting to also to hear not just my husband, but also other men. How do they see it? Especially men are very particularly concerned with the sexual part. And they really like to talk about this because they want to understand and they want to change this also. And they want to know how they can change. And this was interesting. And of course, I spoke many, many times with my husband about it. And also with especially a doctor that is your homeopathic doctor. I seek her help for the heats, some of the things that you feel in menopause, physical heat,
the hot flash.
yes, hot flashes and other things. I talked to her to have some help.
And did that help?
Yes, it did. She advised me for some isoflavones. It's to help balancing these hormonal. And for years I took it, and then I decide also to take a very slow quantity of half of a pill of hormone replacement.
HRT.
Yes. And it's a very, very low quantity of this, but still helps to control all these hot flashes and certain things. It helps to control the sleep, the quality of the sleep that also changed a lot. And yeah, a lot of talking always.
I think this is great because it's not the experience of every woman. There's a lot that do not talk about it, even in their couples or in their. It's not. I think it's great that you even had with friends and getting together and talking about these things. This is the best way to demystify it, to share experiences, and to see that it's part of this process. And when we go through it, then our environment also goes with us.
Of course.
It is a constant interaction. So
yes, it's very important.
This is not common for all cultures or all or women. It's not necessarily how there is still a way of being private about it, which it's fine as well. But as long as it's not of the type of taboo private, there's a difference. Yeah.
That is not my experience. No.
Yeah. So do you think this helped, to the fact that you talked?
Yes.
I think
Totally.
it helps.
I'm not on my own. I'm not alone, and I understand much better because other women also feel it. We share, and what do we do to help? And this is really important, and also important to the husband and kids, our kids, and everything, because it helped them to understand also what's going on.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's important that everybody is informed.
Yes, because it has
Especially
an
when you
impact.
go stroppy and snappy and go, "Arr,"
Yes,
well, maybe there's a little bit more elasticity in there.
it's understanding.
Yeah, yeah. So you said, well, I remember as well, in conversations we had that you're a feminist. So, and this is from since you were young, right?
Yes,
You
since I know
wanna
myself.
Can you? That's amazing. Can you tell me about this? About why are you a feminist? What it is of being a feminist for you, and how being a feminist has informed your life as a woman.
I was born in fascist country when
Yeah,
I was born, and
still
very sorry.
it was still dictatorship, and
Yes, it was still dictatorship when I was born, and then it changed when I was a child. But this was the biggest dictatorship in Europe,
definitely.
and this had a very strong impact in the country because the president was Salazar, and he was very Catholic and very close-minded, and everything to do with women was very, very bad. And I remember to hear since I was very young that a girl could not do this, a girl could not do that. And hearing my mother that she was very frustrated in her life because she could not ever do what she really wanted to do, like profession or other things. And from early, I thought, this is not right.
Yeah.
And the father authority, the father figure was always very, it was always an authority. And I always thought, this is not right. Then we were two sisters and a brother, and we had some little duties at home, and we always fought a lot for my brother to have the same duties. Small or big, we would cry because my father tried to, this is not for a boy. And we said, oh, yes, it is. It's the same like for girls. And we would cry and cry until the boy would do the same. And then since this was a fight since the beginning. And I always read, I think, the right books when I was very in early age. Simone Beauvoir, I read all her books, and I was really a fan of her. And yes, I always thought about the fight of feminists. I always did it in my private life, and I pass it to my daughters, and they are feminists. They fight for the rights. They, in every day in their lives, the way what they're doing now, and I'm very proud that they go on doing this.
Like when you were talking about your family, I'm Greek, so
Yes.
I have an older brother, and it's funny because I did I think the mirror of what you said, meaning I was always told, but this is what girls should do, because my brother could do anything he liked, and I would always fight and rebel against that. So to the point where I was like, well, I'm doing like him, like, so I was not doing anything. So there's like, I kind of passed quite a lot of things that maybe I should have learned, that I learned when I was older, in terms of, yeah, household stuff, because I just refused, I thought, no way, I was doing sports, I was doing, like So I think you did sports as well when you were young, huh? You were
Yes.
very. I can't remember what were you doing. I remember when we had this.
Well, I was sports. I did well. I loved karate, and it came. I think it came, also in that time that I felt women should know how to defend herself because Portugal was the man. It was dangerous for a girl to go out at night on her own. It was always dangerous to do anything on a woman on her own. And I thought, okay, I need to defend myself physically, and I'm so much weaker. Then I go to karate and learn how to defend myself. And it is true, Portugal, even being a very peaceful country, it was dangerous for women. And then I did that for like 10 years.
Okay. You're not black belt, are you?
No, I had to stop. I had to stop because I had an accident, and that's it. It was too dangerous to do these kind of sports after.
Yeah, yeah. How do you think, mentioning the accident, that in menopause things like health-wise came up as well, maybe because of the age and the menopause, that's very related, or
I
because
had in my youth, unfortunately, I had 5 accidents,
five?
and all of them I went to hospital because they were with motorbikes. I loved motorbikes.
Wow.
And but I was young and foolish, and I had these accidents, and one of them was very, very big, and yes, well, everything had to do with bones. I always broke many bones in my accidents, and this affected, of course. I didn't know that one day, many years after, those bones that were broken will come back with big problems. I didn't know that. I thought, okay, this is resolved now. That's it, finished. No, they come back later on.
Yeah.
Then, yes, now I have my problems with these accidents. And it's like, oh my God, never thought that now I would feel again pain because of this and will not go away anymore. But I don't know if this has to do with menopause or just age. But
Yeah.
yes, they all present.
Yeah. No, I think some of these things also come back because I think it's an integration, it's a review process as well. It lasts a few years. So there is a lot that we need to leave. So you need to revisit a period where major things happen in your life and review them and keep, I'd say, the essence, the juice of it, you know.
Yeah.
So there is one part of this, but then of course I think, unfortunately, some of the things, if we had accidents or if our health was already had some issues in the first half, then I think later these things accentuate somehow. So it's important to take care of our health.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So how about your daughters? Because you got 2 daughters. How old are they?
Yes. My eldest is now 30 years old, just became now 30 years old. And then I have a younger one with 26 years old. They both live in London,
Okay.
and they both work there.
So how was it when they started leaving home? How was it for you? Did you have and what was this around that? How old were you when they started leaving? You know, was this because there's this empty nest kind of um, theme in our lives which can be around the time of menopause or right after, and it can also be this loss that at least there's a separation where they finally go off to do their own lives, and then you know that, okay, it's the end of that period where they were with you all the time at home.
Yes, well, this was made by two moments. First, the first moment with the first one, then I still stayed with one. Then it's less strong, and they left when they were 18 because they went to study abroad, both of them. And then between me and my husband, we have 5 children. There was lots of children at home,
Okay.
even if were not mine, if my 2 left, but we still have 3 going on. And then it was very busy at home with children, and my husband children are smaller than they were still kids. And for me, I was very happy that they went on with their lives in the university abroad, because this was a dream for me to go and study in university abroad. And I never did. It was something that we would not do when I was young in Portugal. And but now they did. It's like, oh, they did what I wished I could have done. And then I was very happy for them. And thanks God we have WhatsApp, and we have the plane that is not so expensive, that we can travel, and we can be in contact. And that's what I do. I go shopping with my daughters by video call. We talk a lot by phone, and that makes, and we visit each other. That makes that, yes, we still part of each other's lives, and it's fine that they follow their lives.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's really good. Because sometimes it depends the attachment, or it depends as well. Like if your house was also full with younger kids, then there's this thing. I think I'm a midlife mum as well, because I had my kids older.
Yeah.
So then one is a teen, but the other one is younger. So, and but I do find sometimes I'm like, oh, you know, because there's a your energy when you need to rest, and when you need, these things become more important, and to do it when it's happening, when it's important to rest and take this time for yourself. So sometimes I find I'm not respecting my rhythm still. Yeah.
When I find also, and it is great, is that, okay, now I'm again responsible for myself. I'm on my own. I can do whatever I want. It's so cool. It's so good, because usually our lives goes around what the kids need. And it is good to have our full life back. We always connect with our kids, always will be like this. We will always suffer for them or be happy for them. And they can always count on us in everything, but they are in their lives. You are in your lives, in your life. And this is great. I really appreciate to be in this situation too. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. I agree, and I think there's a time for everything, and then there's a time as well to get what you're saying, your life back, in the sense that to go and do whatever is good for you, right? So what were some of the things that you feel that they emerged because of this coming back to yourself more? Did you do any new things? Did you or was it even in your way of responding to life, or what did you, this freedom finally, that you find
Yeah.
because of the freedom from the cycle and the freedom from motherhood as well. So there's a lot, suddenly there's a lot more time.
Yes.
How did you care of new ways? How did you have a void at any moment, or was this natural as well? Like
I think it was natural.
natural, yeah.
I think it was a natural process.
Yeah.
Not everything is around the girls now. Everything is programmed in a way that it fits others also, or them. But a normal process where things are open to be different, and yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So what were some of the what did you start doing more with yourself?
I think it's the whole life. My meals, I don't need to eat at this time or that time. I eat whenever I feel like. And my traveling, my friendships, it's a bit different. I have more, I don't know, I'm for more, I have more time to just thinking. It's just that I'm more available because I have more time. But I think this is also a process.
Good. So so how was it when I want to know a little bit more about, so you're very open talking about feminine matters and periods and all this with your daughters, I imagine,
Yes.
right? And how was it with your mother? Did you have this with her, or was it just with friends that you talked about menopause and things like that? Do you know her story, or do you know, because that's also yeah, I'm curious to.
My mother passed away when I was 30 years old, and she was for 5 years very ill, not well at all. Then, unfortunately, I could not share more with her. But I remember her talking about her frustrations, her fights, about how a woman should behave, should dress, what she should do, what she never managed to do, about her professional life or the studies she wanted to do. And I always heard her talking about this. I always thought maybe that just realized this year, this was very interesting, that I realized this year. I thought she was a bit weak as a woman, because why didn't she fight more? Why didn't she do what she wanted to do? And but I never had the opportunity to talk about this with her, well, because she's not around. And at the time, I just thought she was a bit weak. And interesting thing is this year, it was the celebration of the 50 years of the revolution.
From dictator, yeah.
Yeah, for the dictatorship. And I read a lot about it. I went to conferences. I decided to get inside and to understand better. I was a child when this happened. To understand better this transition and more about women. how it was with the woman before, and even during, because changes, they take a long time. It's just not that you make a revolution and then everything changes. No, it takes 20 years to change. And then I realized that it was so difficult for women to do whatever they wanted to do. My mother was not weak. She was just, it was just not possible.
Yeah.
The world was against them. And the woman that fought a lot, they were in prison. They suffered a lot. And I didn't or they died. Then I didn't realize how big this was. How easy it was for me to say, oh, you didn't fight enough. You were too weak. How easy it is to say now, and how difficult, complicated, and even putting your life at risk to do it then. I realized that I didn't know, and then I realized I was so ignorant about so many subjects about woman and the position of the situation of the woman in that time. But one of the things that I didn't know is that a husband could kill his wife if he found her having sex with another man. And he would get away without going to prison. He had to leave the city or the village where he used to live for 3 months. And then he could come back with no problem. And this lasted for years and years after the revolution, until the law was changed.
It was in law, this?
This was in law.
Wow.
This was by law. And this is incredible.
Yeah.
And a woman who, if she would kill her husband because he was with another woman, she would go to prison for life.
You know, when I listen to you, I just realized the cultural component and the socio-political component is massive in how women are free in even to be in their own biology, you know, because these things affect how you are as a woman, how you talk about it, how in your sexuality, even in your cycles and everything, right? And we don't I think today the world is kind of more of a melting pot, a lot more. So we have a lot many different nationalities, but sometimes we don't realize where exactly the other one comes from, and what kind of it might be patriarchy, but I think the Greek patriarchy is different to the Portuguese patriarchy,
Yeah.
you know? Because definitely I experienced it in my family, and I had yeah, like my choice was either to go under or rebel. So I chose to stand up and, you know, and be the what you call the strong. But also I was told from my mother, because it was like that we were the weaker sex. So it was like, no, we're not. You know, this kind of it's like these phrases that are passed on from generation to generation, and it affects literally your cycle. I remember when I got my period, my iron level, I had like 2 weeks and then 2 weeks off, and then I had another 2 weeks, and I was doing athletics at the time. I was 13, 14. And because I was running a lot, and I was like, and then I just couldn't run. And I did a test, a blood test, and literally my iron, my hematocrit was so low. So I had to get injections, iron injections, to be able to come back. And then it stabilized. But when I did some work later on, looking back at this, I realized, oh, wow, okay, that's how I internalized, I stood up, but then my body went like this to show, hey, like you carry some of the stuff from your ancestry, from your mother and your grandmothers, and you cannot ignore it, like, so, it's what
Yeah.
it's our conviction and our, like, what we stand up, and our character, I don't know, it's a lot, it's a mixture of things of
Yeah.
why are we going to be more this way or that way. But it's the truth is that your body really knows these things and really records
Yes,
very well these things.
I agree with you. Yes,
And
totally.
it's fascinating what you said as well about generations, because even when there is a revolution, or there was how many years, 50, 60 years of dictatorship, it's a long, it was
50. Dictatorship was 49 years.
yeah, so it was like
Yes.
it's like the last 100 years or so, like 50 and then another 52. So it's kind of, when you look at it, it's huge, and it's huge
It's
to show
enormous.
our power as women, and how it's like you said, is you're in a certain context, and mm, sometimes I think sometimes women, or even in general, people can do more and they don't, because you choose not to stir the waters, many things. And sometimes it's like that's all you can do, and then it's not safe, it's just not, it's not possible. So it's important to do this review, and I think it's great. And even, well, like how many years later you kind of re-establish the image you had of your mother, and that
Yes.
really informs your body and everything, and your daughters, and how this is like yeah, it's
It was an important realization, really important this year. I really dive in the how was the situation of the woman, my mother's included, in those times. And I didn't realize that I was living in that world. I think I was looking too much to myself, just in my little world, and never really stopped to see the big picture.
yeah, there's always a time as well. I think there's a lot of things that also we can do looking back, to integrate, heal, like transform what is obsolete. You just, this is and I think menopause is one of those times in a woman's life where there's a big cleanup about a lot of things. I have a question about, and then I want to go into the your passion nowadays. But you were talking about sexuality. That went, has this after menopause, were there changes, or was this a period, or did it restore?
It never went back as before, but it's different. It's another way of being.
Yeah.
It's another way of being. Again, not by choice, but it's okay. I accept it. I deal with it. It's just different.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Tell me a bit about pottery, right? That's what
Yes.
that's what
Ceramics.
ceramics. So tell me about this, because this I in one of the codes for the Codex, that I call it the purpose it, which is all about, because I think around your 50s, even before, there is a, you re-question, and it's like, okay, what is the purpose, or like, what do I want to do? There is this question that pops up quite a bit. I personally had this question all my life, but it can be, but I think particularly in this moment, in our lives it comes up. And I used because with each code I use a kind of artistic inspiration. It can be poetry, it can be music and dance, it can be, I don't know, storytelling. But for this one I chose clay, working with clay, because I like because for me purpose is something that you can mold, or it molds. There's something that is, you can give it shape and then you can change shape, or it can break, or it can, there is something about the material of clay that is kind of magical, or that has this capacity to turn into form, right?
Yes.
And, so I'd love to hear about, tell us
Yeah.
about it.
You
Yeah.
said it really well. It's that was a discovery, exactly what you said, the way you can work with ceramics and what you can do out of it. And it's a manual work, which interested me a lot, because usually my work is always intellectual, and this is manual, and I really was looking for it. This came up by chance. Once again, my daughters gave me like a workshop as a present of ceramics with an artist, and suddenly, why not? This and I think I worked with ceramics when I was a child in school, and I never forgot. I really liked it.
Mm.
And I never forgot. And then suddenly I said, oh, I remember. It's really interesting, because I remember the pieces I did. I only did 2 pieces when I was a child. And I remember them, and I said, always like that. And this was the opportunity. And I just started as, okay, let's do it as a hobby. And it became like side by side with my work is also my work now. It became something important. But I went to a school, an art school here in Lisbon. I just finished my 3rd year.
Nice.
And that's it. This is part of my life. I divide my time between my work in teaching and ceramics.
Okay, nice. So are you have a collection? Do you do,
I have a collection now about, yes, and we just did an exhibition in the
Oh,
school.
you have to tell me. So I can
Yes,
check it out.
sorry, it just finished. But yes, we had this exhibition, and it was good. I was pleased with my work, and yeah, and I will. Every year is a new project, is a new kind of work, and this, as everything in art, it needs a lot of technique, and also with clay, there's a lot of technique that goes with it that I'm still learning and practicing, and yeah.
So
It's
how
a
do
new world.
it is? How do you choose? It's the world of clay. How do you choose what theme you want to work on? How do you
That's
like,
that is a
really?
challenge. Oh yes, what to do? Be an artist, it's not easy. That's what I found out. And because I'm in an art school, they don't want you to do little pots or little glasses or whatever. They want you to be artist. It's so difficult to be an artist,
Why?
because so much has been already done, and so much, and then it's like, oh, this looks like that copy. It's like, and it's much more difficult than you think. I realize, to be an artist. Many times we say, oh, I can do that. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. It looks like you can do that, but then it's a challenge to know, what do I want for my project.
Yeah.
It is a real challenge. Then this year, well, this last year, I decide to, well, I'm going now to a lot of exhibitions,
Mm-hmm.
not just pottery, not just ceramics, but all kind of exhibitions, and try to get some inspiration from there.
Nice.
And this was what happened this year. I went to some exhibitions, and I said, okay, suddenly my inspiration came from some paintings I saw. And I said, okay, I'm going to work based in these paints, at least for now in the beginning. And my whole work of this year was based in these paintings, had origin in what I saw in the paintings.
Nice.
Then that's how I got my inspiration of this year. I have a challenge for next year.
It's great. It keeps you alive and it keeps you like, what do I
Yes.
want to express? What do I want to bring into form, right?
Yes.
It's I think it's a brilliant um medium for expression.
Yes.
And I think yeah, and well done for doing an art school and going into this full on, because I think this is that's, for example, a very specific way of, yeah, like giving a direction, going more into art and really investing in time and money in learning and the joy and fulfillment that this brings, because I think that's what it's
Yeah.
about. Life, I think, is to be good with yourself and be with good people and create
Yes.
what you love, right?
And it's really good to be in a school, art school, because then I have lots of colleagues. And this is very interesting to be working with other people and sharing what we do. Everybody does very different work. And this is precious also
Wow.
to be surrounded by other artists working.
And I imagine it's intergenerational. There's many different
Yes.
ages, which is also
Very
fabulous. I
interesting.
think that's another thing. It's not because you get older that you cannot go and no, it's like you're an example that no, and it's so rich.
Yes. Yeah, it's very good to be like this. And also it's where the school was very good because it's in a quinta. It's a farm.
Right.
And the school is inside, lots of space with all the materials. The good facilities are really good, and it's nice. You arrive to your school and you have trees, and it's a farm.
Cool.
It's just in Almada after you cross the bridge.
Okay. Oh, I have in mind something else. Okay.
And you turn to the right and you have a farm, like a quinta there, and this is it. This is the school, and this is fantastic. It's really,
yeah, and I think art, nature is inspiration.
yes.
Being in nature, it helps.
We're not in the middle of the city. We're not in the middle of buildings. We just see trees, and it's really good.
Super. Henriqueta, I think I have one last invitation. I invite you to tune in yourself and think of a message to say to a younger woman, like imagine someone who's 10, 15 years younger, that's what's your message to her about menopause? Something, what is like a little gift? What is it that to
I would say read books about it. Be open-minded. Talk about it with your friends, women and men, to hear their side. Explain yourself also to your partner if you have one, and tell him what you feel. Communication is really important. And helps to you also to understand what's going on with yourself, and helps the others to understand. And be also open to the change. Things change, but that's life. We always changing. You know, childhood is one thing, and then the teens are another, and then you are young adult, and then middle age, always changing, maybe by decades. Menopause is another change. And it's good to be open-minded about it and also accept.
Great, beautiful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure
It
to
was,
be talking to you.
yeah, definitely. And yeah, thank
Have
you.
a rest of a beautiful summer day.
Thank you, Henriqueta.